The Enemy Within. How Ignorance Nearly Destroyed Me. Powerful Islamic story. Have you ever felt like the world is against you? That every failure and struggle is because of others? But what if the real enemy is not outside, but inside you? In just one moment of realization, everything can change. This is the story that will make you question who your real enemy is, and it will break your heart and rebuild your soul. The night was heavy, the kind of night that presses on your chest with the weight of unsaid words and unseen fears. Yusuf sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the ceiling as if it held the answers to the questions he had spent years running from. The room was silent, yet the chaos inside his mind screamed louder than the world outside. He was 25, educated, confident, and yet utterly lost. Everyone thought he had it all figured out: friends, career, charm, but deep down he knew that what he lacked most was not wealth, nor recognition, but clarity. The wisdom he sought was trapped behind walls he had built with his own ignorance. For years, Yusuf had blamed everyone for his failures: teachers, society, friends, even God, though he would never admit it aloud. He had grown up believing knowledge was enough to survive, that understanding the world's laws was the same as understanding life itself. He had excelled in school, won scholarships, traveled, yet with every achievement came a hollowness that no accolade could fill. Nights like these, he felt it keenly, an emptiness that gnawed at his heart. It was on such a night that the words of Hazrat Ali, "May Allah be pleased with him," found him, not from a book he had read or a lecture he had attended, but as if whispered into the very depths of his soul. Our enemies are not the Jews or the Christians. Our enemy is our own ignorance. Yusuf had encountered these words before, dismissed them as mere philosophy, a statement for scholars. But tonight, the words struck him with the force of lightning. He realized that everything he had blamed on the world, the betrayal of friends, the injustice of life, the failures at work, were reflections of what he had refused to see within himself. He closed his eyes, trying to confront the uncomfortable truth. Every act of arrogance, every moment of neglect, every choice made in ignorance had shaped the life he now despised. His heart ached with the realization that he had been fighting battles in the wrong places all his life. The enemy he sought outside had always lived inside him. The days that followed were not easy. Yusuf began seeking knowledge, not to impress, not to debate, but to understand himself, his weaknesses, and the vast mercy of Allah. He started with the Quran, reading slowly, savoring each verse, letting the meanings sink in. The stories of the prophets, the trials of those who came before him, the mercy extended to sinners, all started reshaping his perspective. Every story whispered a truth. Ignorance is not just a lack of knowledge. It is a veil that prevents the heart from seeing Allah clearly. One afternoon, Yusuf wandered into a small library in his city, a place he had never visited. The shelves were dusty, the smell of old books heavy in the air. He pulled out a worn volume of Tafsir Ibn Kathir, curious more than anything. As he read, tears pricked his eyes. He read about the companions of the Prophet, peace be upon him, men and women who faced hardships far greater than anything he had experienced, yet whose hearts remained steadfast because they sought knowledge and wisdom over pride and stubbornness. The realization hit him like a wave. He had spent his life running from discomfort, avoiding truth, and drowning himself in superficial distractions while true enlightenment remained just a page away. That evening, Yusuf made a decision. He would confront his ignorance head-on, starting with the habits that had blinded him. He stopped complaining, started listening, and began helping others, not for recognition, but to understand the human condition, to feel empathy where before there had been judgment. Each act of humility peeled away layers of arrogance, revealing a heart that was not empty, but capable of love, mercy, and reflection. Yet the process was not linear. Nights returned, heavy and dark. Doubts whispered in the corners of his mind. Are you truly changing, or is this just another mask? The enemy of ignorance is cunning, Yusuf realized. It does not surrender easily. It mocks your efforts, turns your intentions into arrogance, and disguises weakness as wisdom. But Yusuf held on, repeating the names of Allah, SWT, seeking guidance, remembering that even the smallest step toward knowledge and humility was a step away from the chains of ignorance. Months passed, and Yusuf's life began to transform in ways he could never have anticipated. Relationships deepened, not because he forced them, but because he listened and cared genuinely. Work became a platform for service, not competition. Knowledge was no longer a weapon or a shield, but a light that illuminated paths both within and without. One night, as he prayed in solitude, Yusuf felt a clarity he had never known. The enemy within, the ignorance, the arrogance, the impatience, was no longer ruling him. It had not disappeared entirely, for that would be impossible in a lifetime, but it had been acknowledged, confronted, and tamed through faith, reflection, and the relentless pursuit of truth. In that moment, he understood fully the depth of Hazrat Ali's words. External struggles are real, but they are nothing compared to the internal battles of the soul. Knowledge of self, humility, and reliance on Allah were the keys to overcoming the greatest enemy. In the months that followed, Yusuf's story became one of quiet inspiration. He shared his journey with friends, colleagues, and even strangers, not preaching, but narrating, illustrating the transformative power of confronting one's own ignorance. People listened, hearts opened, tears were shed, and lives were subtly changed. The ripple of awareness spread, because truth spoken from experience resonates more than doctrine alone. Years later, Yusuf would sit under the shade of a tree in his courtyard, a young child on his lap, and speak gently about the real enemy we all face. The child's eyes widened as Yusuf recited the words that had changed his life. Our enemies are not the Jews or the Christians. Our enemy is our own ignorance. He smiled, realizing that knowledge and humility are not destinations but journeys, and each generation must confront their own darkness, one heart at a time. And as the sun set, casting golden light across the courtyard, Yusuf whispered a silent prayer of gratitude. He had been given the courage to face the truth, the wisdom to seek guidance, and the mercy of Allah to transform his life. The enemy had not disappeared, but it had been understood, confronted, and its power diminished. He had learned the ultimate lesson. The greatest battles are not fought with swords or words, but within the soul, and victory belongs to those who seek knowledge, humility, and closeness to Allah. If this story touched your heart, imagine the treasure waiting in our channel. Subscribe now to discover more emotional, thrilling, and life-changing Islamic stories that will inspire your soul, strengthen your faith, and open your heart to the mercy of Allah. Click subscribe and join our family, because your journey to knowledge, guidance, and inner peace begins here.